Hey everybody, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Justin Blazier here at Enid First Assembly. I'm usually the drummer up on stage on Sunday mornings, but some of you might not know I have a background in audio engineering. I went to Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida from 2007, actually 2006 to 2007, and have a degree in recording arts and audio engineering. I just wanted to go over and make a quick video of the basics of running sound for a worship service. This video is for anybody who is currently running sound or is just kind of getting into it, or somebody who is just wanting to volunteer or is curious about it. This is by no means an all-encompassing video. This is just the basics. If you have any questions at all, you can email me at justinblazier@gmail.com. That's JustinBlazier@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions, go over anything that's more in-depth with you. But some of the things I'm going to talk about are specific to our system here at Enid First Assembly. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are just all-encompassing, running sound anywhere. First of all, we have a thing back here behind our system at Enid First Assembly called the Goose Juice. And Juice Goose rather, sorry. And it's just a key, and it's a key on power switch for the whole thing. You just turn it clockwise to turn on the entire sound system. We do work with a digital board here. Digital means that it is controlled by a computer rather than just analog type stuff. There are actually ones and zeros, binary coding in here. So we do have motorized faders on all of this, and it has a computer screen. So the simple layout of this board, there are all the different faders, which are the turn up and down volume sliders basically, and then there are the select buttons above each or below each number. In order to select a channel, you select it, and then it will bring up what you are selecting or what you are editing on the screen up here. So all of these parameters here on our Yamaha LS9 board are controlling what is on the screen currently. So that's the basic channel selection. Anytime you select any of the channels, it changes to that, and all of these are labeled by what they are. As a sound engineer, or as a sound guy as they call it, your number one thing that you want to do is be completely and totally focused on what's going on the stage. Always be aware, always be aware of what's going on stage. A lot of the times, you know, I myself even can get distracted by what I'm doing back here as far as faders and, you know, EQing and stuff like that, and I'll completely miss the fact that the guitarist is going to unplug his guitar. And if you haven't heard what it sounds like when you unplug an acoustic or an electric guitar through a sound system, it's a very loud pop, and that can be very distracting and disruptive to a lot of people. So if I was completely and totally aware of what was going on stage, I would know I can mute that immediately, that guitar, before he pops that guitar cord out of the guitar. So it's stuff like that that you really have to watch out for. Whenever a pastor has a headset mic on and he is going to cough, sometimes our pastor at least covers his hand like this, we should know to mute that channel until he gets done coughing or sneezing or whatever he's doing. Just constantly being aware of what's on stage. At our church here at EFA, we do a line check before every Sunday morning service, and what a line check is, for those of you who don't know, is you basically get the band on stage. We run through the start of each song that we're going to do just to make sure our levels are okay on everything. And at this point, as a sound guy, if I'm back here, during that point, I would be making sure I have all the volume set right for the songs, the different songs they're playing. Notice if there are any differences between the songs, and most importantly of all, take notice of when the band starts, when the band stops. So if there's a guitar player that unplugs, or if there's a silent space in our service, we like to keep some music going on in the background when the band's not playing or doing their line check. There should never be any silent space. So basically we need to just be constantly aware of what is going on the stage, and whenever the band is done doing their line check, get that the channels muted that you need to have muted, and get the music on as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So, like I said, this is not an all-encompassing video, but I do want to go over some basics of troubleshooting and stuff that you might have happen in a worship service. For instance, if a microphone goes out, just runs out of batteries, or for some reason has a loose connection or anything like that, always have a backup ready. You know, I would at least maybe talk to either your pastor or the lead singer, somebody. Make sure somebody knows that if you give them a little signal, maybe like a little point or a wave, come up with your own thing, it doesn't matter, to get another microphone if the microphone goes out. We've had that problem in the past, and I know it can be very distracting to other people. And so I would just highly recommend having a backup plan all the time for if a microphone goes out, and be Johnny on the spot about it. Be really quick to go. Either you have to go up there, that's fine, or send somebody else that's that you can trust to go up there and get a microphone. But make sure you just communicate with the pastor, with the worship leader, whoever it is that's the leader on stage at that point, to know to let them know that if you have a problem, here's our backup microphone. To avoid problems like that, like a microphone going out, I highly recommend going and testing every single mic that you have that is wireless, that is wired, everything on stage. A good time to do this is during the band's line check. You could just even talk over them on the headset. It doesn't matter because they won't care. I mean, you're just checking a mic real quick. Another good thing to do is make sure each channel you have that the band is playing through is getting signal. We do have headphones at our soundboard, and you can actually use these headphones to hit a cue button, which is right underneath the select button on our soundboard here. And if you hit that cue button, that brings up whatever is queued up in your headphones, and you can just make sure that that has signal at that time. Other problems that can occur, sometimes, a lot of times, when you have a direct box, which is a box that converts a high Z input, high impedance input, to a low Z input like an XLR, and comes back to the board. A lot of times those have what's called pads on them, and that attenuates the signal. It makes it softer if you have that pad engaged. And a lot of the times a bass player, usually our bass player here, plugs into a direct box, will not know, and that direct box will get bumped and it'll hit a pad switch. So if you look on that direct box, it'll have a little switch that says pad, usually minus 20 dB, which is 20 decibels. Make sure that's not engaged, or if that is engaged, that you know that, and so you're churning up the gain on your board accordingly. Let's go over a few little tips and tricks in the board system here that we have specific to EFA. This is a Yamaha LS9, like I said before. It is an all-digital board. When you have feedback, which is the high-pitched squeal of a mic, it's not all the time high-pitched, but a lot of the time, especially on vocal mics, like pastor microphones, when they have those little headsets on and stuff, the best thing to do whenever they're on stage is to have their channel selected, and know that a lot of the time feedback occurs in the mid-range of the EQ. Human hearing is from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, which is 20 kilohertz for short. Usually around 1K, 1 kilohertz. That is usually around there where you get feedback. So if you would have the pastor headset mic pulled up, go to the high, mid, you can actually select the frequency, 1K, on this board. You literally click the high, mid EQ, and you use the frequency knob to turn. And you can cut out 1K. You just gain and then attenuate it. Now, I'm not saying that this will fix it every time, but I am saying that it's worth a shot. Another thing you can do is just kind of play with the frequency knob to see if it gets rid of it there on that pastor microphone. Another thing you can do in the case of feedback is you can go to the rack button here on our Yamaha LS9. If you hit the 1 through 4 button, it will bring up a 31 band graphic EQ. And if you go to rack 1 there, that should be for our output to our stereo output, so our main speakers. You can actually go and select a frequency individually using the selector keys and cut that frequency. Just use the big knob here. It's the easiest way to do it. And if for some reason you are having feedback, you can go and cut that out there. Now our system here does have a signal processor that's supposed to help eliminate feedback, and not all the time it works, but it's not a miracle worker. If somebody's standing right underneath a speaker with their microphone pointed straight at it, you're going to get feedback. So the best thing, again, to be aware of what's going on stage, coach the people that are on stage, give them tips and tricks, say maybe don't stand directly underneath the speaker and point your head straight at the ceiling. I know that sounds crazy, but people do it all the time. Again, constantly be aware of what's going on stage. Let's take a listen to some music here through our system. Again, this is just specific to our system. Now, if you can see the lights coming up with the music, that's obviously signal right here going out to the main stereo bus. If you see lights on these, that means that it's just signal coming into that channel. Now on our Yamahas, most Yamaha boards, they have on switches. Some boards have mute switches, but the Yamaha board has an on switch. So when the lights are on, it's on, which I like a lot because that makes sense to me. Some of our stereo linked channels, you only have to hit one button to turn them on. So now a key to mixing, especially a worship band, is to be constantly aware what's the focal point of the music. Again, that thing of constantly being aware what's going on stage. So the focal point could shift. During an intro to a song, it could actually be a loop part that's on a computer that's playing, because that really gives the melody of the song. It could be during a guitar solo, it could be the guitarist. And obviously during the verses and choruses, it could be the vocals. So the best thing that I know to do is, again, stay constantly aware of what's going on, listen to the song, and if you have the opportunity to be here during practice or during the line check, or if you know the song, it's even better, be aware of what the focal point of the song is. So if it's a guitar solo, go up to the guitar fader and maybe just bump that up just a little bit to bring that out in front. You want, when you're mixing, to bring something that is the focal point a little bit up front. You can bring it up just a little bit, and then as soon as they get done with that guitar solo, just slowly ride it back down. These faders don't have to move a lot of the time to actually get signal up and down. But again, be aware of what's going on. During a verse and chorus, you might want to bump up the lead vocal a little bit. During the chorus, you might want to bring up some background vocals. It's active mixing, especially when you have a service that has different songs all the time, different sets all the time, different people singing all the time. You want to do active mixing on this. We can set our baseline, but you want to really be aware of what's going on in the mix. So another thing I wanted to talk about, back to mixing and being aware of what's going on stage, there are different effects that are appropriate for music and singing that are not appropriate for just speaking and preaching. The most common thing that we have a problem with here is on our stereo input on number 4 over here, it's a delay. And it's actually a tap delay. You can tap it with the music. It's really good whenever you have a song going and you can tap with that beat, or you can do double time. It's great because it adds a little bit of depth, a little bit of masking if somebody hits a little bit of a wrong note and stuff. But when it comes to somebody speaking, you want to go ahead and kill that completely. So the easiest way to do that is you could just turn it off. That would be the simplest way to do it. Just boom, right there. Just kill it completely. Something I tend to always do, I always just turn it down. This stereo out is just a knob. It's not a fader, but it does the same basic thing. And you can select it and go to the actual the parameters of it if you want to, and you can view where you're at on the fader-like thing. But like I said, you know, you can set it to where you want it for your music, let it go through on the music, and whenever somebody comes up to speak, just kill it. Just kill the whole thing. Okay, another specific situation for our board in Enid First Assembly is we have a click track running through our system. We always keep this muted on the board, always. And it runs through to our ears as musicians up on stage. And you will see signal coming through here, but we just always keep it muted. You don't ever want to hear this. It is just a loud bleeping noise that bleeps in our ear to keep us on tempo and on the beat. So if you're ever confused by that, why it says click, and you don't know why it's on, that's that. We do have a loop on most of our services. And what the loop means is it's an actual track that's been pre-recorded. That's a part that we don't have an instrumentalist for. And a lot of the time those are very prominent, and those need to be boosted a little bit. Now, it is coming out of a computer that's on stage with our musicians on stage, so it tends to be a little bit volatile when it comes to how loud that signal, how hot that signal is going to be. So that's something you want to always be watching out for and always being aware of whenever there's music going on, is the loop, because it's coming out of a computer. We don't know how loud it's going to be. You know, it just changes, just like somebody playing a piano or a guitar changes how loud they're playing. You just kind of want to ride that fader for, you know, until you kind of get a handle on which a part is being really prevalent in that song. Another specific area that is in our services is we do a weekend update video, and a lot of the times they will have the music on one track and the vocals or the speech from the weekend update on the other. And I think usually we have the ability to control that intro of that music, so you'll kind of want to fade that music up and you know, kind of give it to them to where they know what is going on, that it's the weekend update time, and that they have that music going on. And as soon as the person on the screen starts talking, just fade that music down just a little bit. You still want some background music in there. You don't want it to be so low that you can't hear it, because you want that ambiance in that background. But you definitely want to make sure that the vocals are heard more than anything. So, you know, again, familiarize yourself with this if you can beforehand. Okay, to wrap up, the main thing, again, I know I've said it a lot, but the main thing here when you are running worship sound is to be constantly aware of what's going on stage. I'd say second thing is to be constantly aware of what's going on with the media itself. You know, don't have a video playing that you don't know about or something like that. And the other thing is to know and have a backup plan for failing equipment, like microphones that don't have batteries, that are fully charged, or that something cuts out. You know, have a backup plan, know where that stuff is, familiarize yourself with it. If you need to, ask the worship pastor, but just always be aware that something could go wrong, and know how to fix that, and know where something is to replace something if it goes wrong. Thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to go over some real basic stuff of running sound in a worship environment. If you have any questions, again, my email address is justinblazier@gmail.com. I'd love to answer any questions you have. Or if you want to come up to our church, Enid First Assembly, sometime and familiarize yourself with this board, I'd be happy to walk you step by step through it all. So thank you guys very much. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Bye-bye.